Chapter 9 continued. My stupid camera ran out of space again. I got to constantly erase everything with this Android after I post it, which is a shame. Um, so we had to cross the border into Montana, and I had so many keys on the key ring of this camper that had 1,000 compartments on the side of it and the top of it and the bottom of it. The border patrol guy, gets me out there with the keys, and it took me like 5 minutes to find the first key to the first compartment. He's like, "All right, forget it, just go." So I could have smuggled God knows what into Canada or USA, whichever way I was going, I forget. But I saw somebody get shut down and locked up for a seed in their car, I think, at the border. That was crazy. In those days, 77, 78, sorry. And we get into Montana, which was big sky country. I saw a lightning storm. I actually pulled over on the truck on the side of the road to watch. You saw every piece of lightning from one end to the other. It was amazing. I guess that's why they call Montana big sky country. And we were on our way to the Montana State Fair, but we stopped. We had a 1 week layover, and we stopped at a friend of Steve's, a farm friend who had a farm in Montana, had a horse farm. And this is cool because we're going to let the big horse, whose name was Goliath, who was like a puppy to me, after a couple of weeks, I would, and he'd come running over like a puppy. People were amazed because I'd give him a carrot. Carrot's the trick. So we're going to let the horse out in the field for a week, which is great for him because he's in that stupid trailer and truck for months on end. So the horse is going to get to run around, and we're going to have a couple of days off. So I follow Steve to this farm in the middle of freaking Montana, farm country. And, well, that's where the farm was. And I meet this couple. The girl had, I think, worked maybe for Steve at a horse thing, with the horse thing, and the husband was a farmer, and they were weird and farmers, and kind of, they were like 10 years older than me, and they're farmers. So the first day on the farm, they get me out into the hay fields, and they have a hay baler that days before had cut the field and baled it automatically, and the thing just throws out bales like every 10 feet, on a million, mile field. And so I think somebody was driving the pickup, and the rest of us were throwing bales of hay from the ground to the person in the back of the truck who was stacking it. And then we're going to take it back to the barn. So the guy, who ran the barn, the farm, he was stacking at the first pile. He got it pretty high. And the lady knew how to drive without spilling the load. And we get the first load, and now my forearms are all pecked up because of the hay hitting it. But, I was in another contest with Al, and I was, going to throw the most. And so we drive back to the barn, and those big windows above the barn doors are to throw the hay up to the hayloft. So, you know, what a workout. You got to throw this hay like 5 feet up into the person catching it in the barn, and they stack it in there, and then the truck is empty, and then you drive back to the field, and this goes on all day. And then Steve, beware your ego, Steve. Steve wanted to stack the back of the pickup one time because we were so impressed by how high the other guy had got it for the trip. So Steve gets in the back, he packs a load, gets it almost as high, and sure enough, on the way back to the barn, it tipped, and then we had to, twice the work to get it back on. But whatever. So we do that all day, and then we're going out to dinner the first night. Now Steve was a farm boy, from southern New Jersey with the accent and everything, and he didn't smoke, he didn't drink, barrel chested, no nonsense kind of guy. And I'd never even brought up, the thought of asking if I can get some weed somewhere or smoke some weed or it was like a bother to me. I was didn't want to piss the guy off. He was my manager. So anyway, but he was all against weed and drinking and all that, blah blah blah. And we go out to dinner with these people after the first day of work, the fields. They're taking us out to dinner in the guy's like triple cabbed pickup truck. And I'm in the back of the pickup truck. Steve's up, front with the guy, and the two ladies are in the back with me in the pickup truck. The lady starts lighting doobs. I'm like, what the fuck do I do now? So the lady lights a doob, passes it to me. I hit the doob. I pass it to the driver. He hits the doob, and guess what? He passes it to Steve, and the hypocrite takes a hit. Then passes it back, and then he bailed out after that. Natalie bailed out the whole time, and then the lady, the driver bailed out. Me and the lady in the back smoked, a couple of doobs on the way to and this was, freaking farm stuff. On the way, I think they actually had planes and landed it there. You didn't hear that from me. Me and the lady, blow the two giant tubes on the way to the restaurant, and we get in the restaurant and we walk in. It was dim lighting, and it was the weirdest thing. And I didn't get glasses till I was in my 30s, but I'd been closing one eye to read for a while, for a decade probably before that. So anyway, the phone book and stuff, or for distance. And we get in the restaurant and they hand us the menu. And because of the lighting or whatever, I couldn't make out a word, or because I was just ossified. I couldn't make out a word of what was on the menu. And I'm like panicking. And then I brilliantly decided what the person next to me, Natalie, had ordered. I said, I'll have the same as what she had. She could have had shit, and I was getting it. And but got me out of that one. I couldn't see the menu. And but then while we're eating, I sensed, I don't know if the weed made me paranoid. I sensed that the people in the booth next to us, on the side of us, were making fun of us. Now we were, I guess strange looking crew. I don't know, whatever, not that strange, but I think the people were kind of making fun of us. And I looked at Steve and I'm like, can I? He's like, absolutely not, Bobby, please, absolutely not. I'm like, okay. So we're going to get out of that one. So then, but it was so hypocritical of Steve to take a hit of that tube. And then the guy actually paid me for my couple of days of work on his farm in weed, which was bizarre. And so the rest of the time I had to, not let Steve, catch me smoking weed. Well, he did one time. He came up to the prison show he came up to the prison show ticket box. It was like fucking 10 o'clock at night. It was just about to close. I've been sitting in that booth all day, so I took a couple of hits and he smelled it. He's like, Bobby, you're kidding me. Well, the whole father routine. You can't do that. Whatever, shut up. But that only happened once. Then he got over it real quick because, we just kicked ass all across the country with this show. And Montana, I had just turned 18, and some young lady was walking by my ticket booth every day. Since the first day we got there, her parents owned like the leather booth a few booths down. We were on the independent midway. That was independent shows, and the Carnival was in the midway. So they were, her parents had the thing a few doors down, and she's walking by with halter tops, strutting her stuff. And I'm like, well, hello. I was, so she's walking by every day. I start up a conversation, blah, 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 a couple of days, flirting and whatnot. And then I says, you want to come walk the horse with me, some night? And she's like, yeah, okay. So, one night we go and walk the horse, down in a little field somewhere, and that's where she's the one that took that picture, I guess, that I had showed prior with me holding the horse at night. And So walk the horse nice and nicely, we make out a little bit, and then we go back to the barn, and I put the horse in the barn, and close the door and wrap the chain, but don't lock it, and then uh, you know brushing the horse, and we're making out, and all of a sudden, boom, boom, boom on the front door. Here we go again. It's her parents. Turns out she was 15, looked like she was 19 to me. I never asked. I had a full beard. I had just turned 18, Your Honor, a week ago. So it was like I was 17 and she was 15. Was not that big of a deal. But the parents, once they saw me, thought I was like in my 20s. They had a conniption. And the mother, dragged her out of there screaming at me. And I'm like, what the fuck? Come on. And they got the constable or the park police or the fair police or whoever it was. And once they learned that I had just turned 18, they dropped the matter and calmed down a bit. But boy, she hit that that girl had a turtleneck on that next day forward. So another lesson learned. I had just turned 18. Um, that's enough. Talk to you later. Love you guys.